this video, we're going to use pfBlocker to block out a lot of countries, but then add exceptions so that we can get to some websites within those countries. So we go to Firewall, pfBlocker-NG. We want to enable it. Now we need a key. The key is free. We can go and register for it here. Okay, we have our key. Paste it in. Now we've got our interfaces we need to select on which interface we're going to use for in and out, and what we're going to do with the traffic that gets blocked or is rejected. So we have on the inbound, we're using our WAN, and we're going to block that traffic, which also means drop. On the outbound, we're going to use the LAN, and we're going to reject traffic that we don't want to go through. We're not going to do anything with the VPNs, nor floating rules. We can see here we've got a rules order. We want to change that to be pf pass match, pf blocker reject. If we don't do that, we can't have exceptions. The default though is to block by pfBlocker and not to allow, so no exceptions would work. Now we'll go to save. Okay, now we can go across to GeoIP, and we can see we've got these tabs with regions. The first one, the one we're going to use, is the top 20, or we could select any countries within Africa, within Antarctica, within Asia, and so on. If we choose the top 20, hold down Shift and select from the top to the bottom, and we need a list action. The list action will be what we want to do with matching traffic from or to these countries. We'll choose to deny both, that is denying traffic in both directions. We'll hit save. We'll go across to update and hit run. Depending on what countries and regions you selected, this update process could take some time. In this case, it was quick, it's finished. We can see that it downloaded the regions that we're after. We'll choose IPv4. We'll choose add. Now this is where we add exceptions. So our exception will be Chinese gov site. We'll copy that to our description and to our label. These three don't need to be the same, but it does make sense to make them the same. But if you ever make changes, you do need to change the label. You cannot use the same label twice. Now we're going to use whois information to look up the IP addresses of this website, because it could have many IP addresses pointing to one website, or one domain name pointing to many IP addresses. The list action, we will permit both. The update frequency, or how often should it check to resolve the IP addresses to determine if any have changed, we'll say once a day, and hit save. Okay, we can see that it's added in now. If we go to update and run, and the update process has finished. Now if we go across to Firewall and Rules, we'll see on our WAN interface, we have our exceptions with a tick, that is, it's permitted, above our rejection list. So we can get to the sites that are in that first access control list item, but anything other than that in that same region or in that top 20 list would be blocked. Now we can also do some DNS filtering. Inside Dns Blacklist, we make sure it's enabled. Take note of this IP address, because shortly when we're going to request a banned website, we'll expect to get that IP address back, and obviously that wouldn't work. So it's going to prevent access to that website for people using this appliance as their DNS server. We go down and make sure it says deny both. We hit save. Now we go across to DNS feeds. We click add. we're going to say don't allow these sites as our label, our name, and our description. Again, make sure that you don't reuse these labels, otherwise things won't work. We'll go to this list. This is a file hosts on a website, someone who cares, all of websites that we do not want people to go to. We got that by clicking on this information icon, and we chose someone who cares. There are plenty of these, but these are the recommended ones. Unfortunately, there's no category lists. We choose list action of unbound. We hit save. Now, if we go to Diagnostic and ping, we'll ping the very first website that is listed in that file. We'll click ping. You can see the IP address 10.10.10.1, which is the IP address that pfSense is giving us in return instead of the real IP address. That would prevent people from visiting that site. So at this point, we've configured pfBlocker to prevent some countries, but then allow websites as an exception within some of those countries, and to prevent access to certain websites that we don't want people to go to. That's it. Thank you very much.